Why and how China and the USA are preparing for the next World War. In an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, tensions between global superpowers such as the United States and China have been rising. Both nations are strengthening their military capabilities and engaging in strategic planning that some analysts believe could signal preparation for a possible global conflict. Although the hope is to avoid such a war, military, economic, and technological preparations suggest that both countries are actively preparing for potential large-scale confrontations. Why are China and the USA preparing for the next World War? Strategic rivalry for global dominance. The competition between China and the United States is often framed as a struggle for global dominance. The US has been the dominant world power since World War II, but China's rapid economic and military rise is challenging this status quo. China has ambitious goals, including expanding its influence through projects like the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), and establishing military bases overseas. On the other hand, the US seeks to maintain its military superiority and influence, especially in key regions like the Indo-Pacific, where China is increasingly assertive. Technological arms race. Both nations are heavily investing in next-generation technologies that could redefine warfare, including artificial intelligence, AI, cybersecurity, space exploration, and quantum computing. Control over advanced technologies is seen as crucial for future military and economic dominance. The US leads in many tech sectors, but China is catching up fast, particularly in AI and space technologies. For example, China's advancements in hypersonic weapons and AI-driven warfare pose new challenges to US defense strategies. Territorial disputes and regional tensions. One of the most significant sources of tension is the Indo-Pacific region. The South China Sea, Taiwan, and disputed territories along China's borders have been flashpoints for potential military conflict. The US is committed to defending its allies in the region, like Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines, and has vowed to support Taiwan in the face of Chinese aggression. China, on the other hand, considers Taiwan a breakaway province and has made clear its intentions to reunify it with the mainland, potentially by force. Economic and trade conflicts. The economic rivalry between the two nations has been exacerbated by trade wars and competition over resources, technology, and supply chains. The US has imposed tariffs and restrictions on Chinese companies like Huawei, citing national security concerns. In turn, China has sought to reduce its dependence on US technology and has focused on developing its domestic industries. Economic competition often goes hand in hand with military buildup, as control over resources and trade routes becomes crucial in times of conflict. How are China and the USA preparing for potential conflict? Military expansion and modernization. Both nations are significantly expanding and modernizing their military forces. China has been increasing its defense budget for years and has made remarkable strides in naval power, missile technology, and cyber warfare. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, is becoming a formidable force, with an emphasis on building a blue water navy capable of projecting power far from China's shores. China's military strategy includes fortifying artificial islands in the South China Sea, developing long-range missile systems like the DF-21D, dubbed the Carrier Killer, and advancing its nuclear capabilities. The United States continues to maintain the largest and most technologically advanced military in the world. In response to China's rising capabilities, the US has been focusing on maintaining its naval supremacy, enhancing its nuclear arsenal, and investing in new technologies like autonomous drones, high-powered weapons, and space-based defense systems. The US is also strengthening its military alliances in the Indo-Pacific through agreements with countries like Australia, AUKUS, and Japan. Cybersecurity and information warfare. Cyber warfare is expected to play a pivotal role in any future global conflict. Both China and the US have advanced cyber capabilities and are believed to engage in covert cyber espionage and cyber attacks. The US government has accused China of hacking into critical American infrastructure and stealing sensitive information from corporations, universities, and even the military. In turn, China claims that it has been the target of cyber attacks orchestrated by the US. Information warfare, including the manipulation of social media and the spreading of disinformation, has become a new battleground. Both nations are preparing for a war where controlling the narrative and influencing public opinion, both domestically and internationally, will be critical. Space militarization. The next world war may extend into outer space. Both nations recognize the strategic importance of space, especially in terms of satellite communications, GPS systems, and intelligence gathering. China has been advancing its space program at a rapid pace, developing anti-satellite weapons and launching multiple space missions that have military applications. The US, for its part, has established the US Space Force, which is dedicated to protecting American assets in space and ensuring the nation's dominance in this critical domain. Alliances and regional influence. The United States is reinforcing its global network of alliances, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region. Military alliances like NATO, partnerships with countries like Japan and South Korea, and new defense pacts like UK-US, Australia, the UK, and the US, are designed to contain China's military expansion and ensure the US remains a dominant force in key regions. China, in contrast, is working on creating its own network of alliances, although not as formal as the US system. China has strengthened ties with Russia, Iran, and several African nations. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China has invested in infrastructure projects across the globe, securing access to resources, trade routes, and political influence in key regions like Africa and Southeast Asia. Nuclear deterrence. Both nations maintain substantial nuclear arsenals, which play a critical role in deterring direct conflict. China has been expanding its nuclear capabilities, including developing more mobile launch platforms and advanced missile systems. The US, while reducing its nuclear stockpile over the years, continues to modernize its nuclear triad, land-based missiles, submarine-launched missiles, and strategic bombers, to ensure it remains capable of responding to any threat. Economic preparations. Both nations understand that future wars will not only be fought with bullets and bombs but also through economic warfare. The US and China are both seeking to diversify supply chains and ensure access to critical resources like rare earth metals, which are essential for manufacturing advanced technologies. Sanctions, tariffs, and trade wars could escalate into full-scale economic conflict if tensions continue to rise. The role of diplomacy and tension reduction. While military preparations are ongoing, both nations also recognize the catastrophic consequences of a potential war and continue to engage in diplomatic efforts to avoid it. The US and China regularly hold talks on trade, climate change, and military tensions. However, the diplomatic track is often overshadowed by ongoing disputes, raising concerns about the effectiveness of these efforts. In conclusion, the preparations by China and the US for a potential world war are multifaceted, involving not just military buildup, but also economic, technological, and diplomatic strategies. While both nations are preparing for conflict, the hope remains that diplomacy and mutual interest in global stability will prevent the next world war. However, as the geopolitical rivalry intensifies, the world must remain watchful of the growing competition between these two superpowers.